Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a vendetta. I want the Parasite of Mortrix to be better, and for most of this edition, I think the best thing I came up with is making it cheaper. Now, there's been points for and against this thing the entire edition, and for or against making it cheaper. We actually saw on like the first week of this past or the latest current time of recording current balanced data slate that instead of like a third Neurolictor or even Death Leaper, there were quite a few lists that decided to take a Parasite of Mortrex. It seemed that the Parasite did not make it past week one of list creation from what we've seen since then, or from what I've seen. If you know some friends that are rocking more Parasites and been doing the thing, feel free to let me know. But it still is to be said, I wish that it would be better because it can be better. If we look at the Parasite of Mortrex, uh, last edition, over here, ninth edition, it did some funky things. Okay, so parasitic infection. Now, each time an infantry model is destroyed by an attack made with this model's barbed ovipositor, you can add one finished. Sorry. After this model has finished making its attacks, you can add one new Ripper Swarms unit to your army consisting of D3 models and set it up within 3 inches of this model. If you do, that Ripper Swarm unit can be set up within engagement range of the destroyed model's units, but not within engagement range of any other enemy units. And it also has It Itches. At the start of the fight phase, select one enemy unit within engagement range of this model. That enemy unit must take a Battle Shock test. 80 points, T5, 4 up save, 5 wounds, 1 attack on the barbed ovipositor, but it is anti-infantry 3 up with extra attacks. The clawed limbs, 6 attacks, hidden on 2, strain 5, AP1 damage 1, barbed OV 323. Deep strike, lone op with stealth. No invuln, but they remembered is a synapse. Eventually this edition, we got there. Um for a deep strike unit that provides synapse, there is still the Wing Tyranid Prime. That if you really need it that bad, I think you save yourself 15 points and do that. But people have tried with the Parasite of Mortrex, and I think we've all have tried with the Parasite of Mortrex. There's maybe a time and a place, but looking at what it used to be, I remiss a little bit. Parasitic Infection of Ninth Edition. Each time an attack made with this weapon successfully wounds an enemy unit, excluding vehicles, that unit suffers one mortal wound in addition to any normal damage and becomes infected with parasites. At the start of your opponent's command phase, for each enemy unit that is infected with parasites, your opponent must roll 1d6. On a 1 through 3, that unit being rolled for suffers D3 mortal wounds and is no longer infected with parasites. On a 4 through 6, that unit being rolled for suffers D3 mortals and remains infected with parasites. If that unit suffers 2 or more mortal wounds as a result of this ability's phase, set up a new friendly Ripper Swarm unit on the battlefield within 3 inches of that unit and not within engagement range of any enemy units. That Ripper Swarms unit contains one model, and if you are playing a game that uses a points limit, does not cost any reinforcement points. It itches. While a unit is infected with parasites, it has no OC. Shadowhunter gave stealth, death from above, deep strike. So why do I miss this part? Because the mortal wounds are a little bit tasty, and you'd go, no, they can't bring it back. That would be too OP. Then they'd have to raise the points, and I'd say no. Then it would probably be worth the points. Uh, Also, I guess we should also talk about the synapse that it used to do of old. Didn't really think of pulling that up beforehand, but here we go. We're going to talk about that too. Let's go down to. Here we are. Where were we at? Parasite. Right. When you are within Parasite Synapse range, each time a model in this unit that is within the Synapse range of the Parasite makes a pile and consolidate can move an additional 3 inches. So pile and consolidate up to 6 inches. If you could give me back this Parasite of Mortrex, I would not complain about it again this edition, I don't think. And you might say, that seems kinda cranked at that point. I'd argue no, because, well, there's only so many things you want to pile and consolidate in this edition of Tyranids. We do have more better guns than melee going around. Now that could change with things like this, who knows? And maybe if you give me my Tyranid Prime that gives an aura of sustain instead of just for that unit, maybe. Just maybe, but this is a Parasite of Mortrix video. Now, what has me thinking about this, besides the fact that I looked and went, oh yeah, I do have a Parasite of Mortrix right here, huh? I just covered a new faction that has a unit, that has a rule, that has some people a little bit upsetty spaghetti. And this tells me that there's no reason I shouldn't be able to have it on my Parasite of Mortrex for 80 points to a lesser effect. Talking about Fulgrim. Yeah, I get it. He's a Primarch. I don't care. But what Fulgrim has is demonic poisons in your shooting phase and the fight phase. After this model has finished making its attacks, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks until the end of the battle. That enemy unit is poisoned. At the start of each player's command phase, roll 1d6 for each poisoned enemy unit on the battlefield. On a 4-up, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So, I know the Drukhari are probably wondering where the rest of their poisons are, but Fulgrim has apparently everybody's poisons and damage over time effects. Now, as a person that on this channel has said several times I want Gorgon, I think it shouldn't be surprising that I want something Gorgon-esque over here. I want I want to do mortals in ways. Maybe that's why I play Crusher. Huh. Maybe that's why I do Crusher too. The more you think about yourself, right, you discover things live on video. I guess it's not live for you, but it's live for me right now. Anyway, Parasite of Mortrex. If you're telling me for 80 points, fine. Don't give my Synapse creature an invuln save. Most of them have it, some of them don't. I understand if we're going to still lump in warriors without having an invuln, being Synapse, fine, whatever. Parasite, I'll take that. But for 80 points, if I can just, when my attack successfully hits, uh, in the fight phase, because there's no ranged over here, right? There's no ranged. If I could get that to infect a target, we're so back. We're back. We're back. We being literally just a Parasite of Mortrex for 80 points, but please, pretty please. Alone up on top of that, I would start to think about that inclusion. Now, here's the other thing about the points that is at. Because going back to why aren't they just running a third Neurolictor being my question, um, as we see, the spot for 80-point lone ops is tough. Quite frankly, people rather just bring a Lictor and score some points and possibly punch a character. And I wouldn't try to convince them to take a Parasite of Mortrex to do that often. No, I wouldn't do that. But if it is a verbatim everything but vehicles, or I guess mounted, yeah, vehicles, because the walkers are mounted. No, sorry, the vehicle. Sorry, the walkers are vehicles. So yeah, except for vehicles, if you're telling me I can throw a Parasite of Mortrex at an Avatar of Cain, and he starts ticking down. I know the Avatar of Cain isn't that scary anymore, but if you're telling me I can stab a Catan with two parasites and sit back and relax a little bit, yeah, I'd do that. I do that every day of the fucking week. Um, so if, just if, and here's the other thing, do I truly think that they are willing to touch datasheets anymore for this edition? Part of me wants to believe that they will, but here's the caveat. I don't think they're going to do it besides when the new detachment rolls around. kind of showed their ass a little bit, that they were only paying attention, in my opinion, uh, to the factions that had new detachments. Orcs, Tau, poor Tau really didn't even make out like Banish there. Custodes and Shadow Legion, uh, Chaos Demons. So seemed like that's where a lot of efforts went to making sure that things happened. Now, don't get me wrong, even our own faction had some points changes, but nothing really shaken up there on the data sheet part. So I think if there were to be a chance for the Parasite of Mortrex to rise to its former glory, um, or I guess rise to a piece of glory, uh, it would probably be around then. However, better sooner than never, better later than never, in my opinion, I guess. If it just means for the last month of 10th edition, I get to play with a Parasite of Mortrix that does a thing, yeah, I get, that's fine. That's fine for me. Also, I would like to make sure, let's see. Yeah, I wanted to infect the unit. Just want to make sure that they don't get funky with it and say a model. Because it's also weird that the Parasite of Mortrex hasn't had a great place besides Synaptic Nexus specifically for Smothering Shadow. It can make Rippers, which are harvesters, but it hasn't seen a lot of popularity in Assimilation Swarm. Now, I will also defer the fact that while I am echoing, I think I'm the only one yelling it, so maybe it's not an echo as much as I'm the only one shouting, that Assimilation Swarm is cracked right now, and people just got to figure that out. Uh, Maybe there's a time where Parasite of Mortrix makes the list. I don't think so, but I would love to be proven wrong. And saw it pop up that weekend that I talked about earlier in Vanguard Onslaught because, uh, it is a Vanguard Invader. And it gets access to advance and charge, and if you can advance and charge into a unit and then make it take a battle shock test within Neurolictor Aura, and then make sure that you also have Brew Lord Gene Stealers or Raveners or Von Rhinesleepers also make it to the unit, maybe. Um, it's a lot when you have Surprise Assault, but if you use Surprise Assault somewhere else, fuck it, there you go. So I say all this to say, Parasite of Mortrex has room to grow. It has room to grow. Just fix the rule. If you're going to slap this shit on Fulgrim, who can do it in the shooting and the fight phase, I should be able to do it with my silly little guy, for 80 points in just the fight phase with no info. An Overwatch might just fuck my entire plan that I spent 80 points on. That's damn near 22 Neurogons, right? So, like, hey, I'm just saying, Parasite of Mortrex could be better. I would like it to be better. And that's how I think it could be better. So, yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.